Welcome to Armenia, a land of majestic mountains, ancient monasteries, and a story that intertwines with the roots of civilization. Located in the heart of the Caucasus, between Europe and Asia, Armenia is a small country in territory, but gigantic in culture and beauty. This is one of the oldest countries in the world, the first to adopt Christianity as an official religion, and its architectural heritage reflects this rich heritage. But it's not just history that Armenia lives. Here you will find natural, breathtaking landscapes, crystalline lakes, and vibrant traditions that have survived centuries. Today, we will explore 5 unmissable places of this amazing country, from old mountains, dug churches, to surreal landscapes. Get ready for an unforgettable trip. Our first destination is one of Armenia's architectural and spiritual jewelry, the Geghard Monastery. Located in a valley surrounded by imposing mountains, this monastic complex is one of the most impressive places in the country. Built in the 4th century and expanded over the centuries, Geghard is famous for its churches and chapels sculpted directly on the rock. The name Geghard means spear and refers to the spear of destiny, the artifact that, according to Christian tradition, was used to pierce Jesus Christ on the cross and remained kept in this monastery for centuries. The environment around the monastery is breathtaking. The mountains form a natural frame that reinforces the sacred aura of the place, while the halls carved in the rock create an almost supernatural effect with natural light entering the cracks. The old crosses and inscriptions recorded on the stones tell stories of faith and devotion that cross the centuries. And to complete this mystical atmosphere, the songs of the monks echo through the caves, providing a unique and exciting experience. Considered UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Geghard Monastery keeps fascinating secrets. Some of their sculpted churches on the stone were made without the use of mortar, with precise cuts in the rock. In the past, the place was an important educational center and housed rare religious manuscripts. This was just our first stop, and we still have a lot to find out. Our next destination leads us to the heart of Armenian nature, the stunning Sevan Lake. Known as the Pearl of Armenia, this is the largest lake in Caucasus and one of the highest in the world, about 1,900 meters above sea level. Its turquoise waters and landscape surrounded by mountains make it one of the most impressive places in the country. With an invaluable historical and cultural importance, Sevan Lake was fundamental to the survival of the Armenian people over the centuries, providing fish and drinking water. Moreover, on its banks is the iconic monastery of Sevan Lake, built in the 9th century. Originally erected as a refuge for monks, the monastery offers a spectacular panoramic view of the lake and the surrounding mountains, creating a scenario worthy of a painting. Sevan Lake changes color throughout the day, varying between shades of blue and green as sunlight reflects on its surface. During the summer, their beaches become a popular destination for tourists and places who enjoy swimming, sailing, and taste the famous Sevan trout fish, a delicacy of the region. Interestingly, the level of the lake was much higher in the past, but decreased dramatically in the 20th century due to irrigation projects. Fortunately, conservation measures have been adopted to preserve this natural treasure. After admiring this spectacle of nature, it's time to go to the next destination. Let's continue our journey. Now we travel in time to discover one of Armenia's most fascinating monuments, Garni Temple. Unlike anything we have seen so far, this pagan temple is one of the few traces of the former Greco-Roman architecture in the Caucasus. Built in the 1st century AD, he was dedicated to the god Mitre, a deity of the sun in Persian mythology. Garni impresses at first glance. Its imposing columns and symmetrical structure resemble the classic temples of ancient Greece, a remarkable contrast in a country known for its medieval churches. Located at the top of a cliff, the temple offers a spectacular view of Garni's Gorge, a natural formation of volcanic rocks that resemble giant organ tubes. This dramatic scenario further reinforces the mystical aura of the place. In the past, the temple was part of a royal complex, where Armenian kings rested and performed religious ceremonies. But with the arrival of Christianity in the 4th century, many pagan temples were destroyed. Garni, however, survived, possibly because he is a summer palace of royalty. Nevertheless, he was severely damaged by an earthquake in the 17th century, being rebuilt with the same stones in the 20th century. Today, Garni's temple is one of Armenia's most visited sites, attracting travelers and historians fascinated by its architecture and meaning. During the sunset, the golden light reflects on the columns, creating an unforgettable visual spectacle. Our journey now takes us south of Armenia, where we find one of the most spectacular places in the country, the Tatev Monastery. Built in the 9th century, this medieval monastery seems to have come out of a fairy tale, balanced on the edge of a cliff, surrounded by mountains and the Vorotin River Canyon. Tatev was one of the most important religious and intellectual centers of medieval Armenia, housing one of the oldest universities in the world in the 14th century. For centuries, the monastery served as a place of advanced studies, where monks and academics were dedicated to philosophy, science, and the copy of rare manuscripts. Today, what remains of this story is still impressed. Its stone churches, silent courtyards, and stunning views make it one of Armenia's most unforgettable destinations. The experience of arriving at the Tatev Monastery is already a separate attraction. For this, it is possible to board the Wings of Tatev, the largest cable car in continuous operation. On a way of about 5.7 kilometers flying over the canyon, the cable car provides a panoramic view of breathtaking, making the visit even more special. A fascinating curiosity about the monastery is its legend. They say that the name Tatev comes from a prayer of an architect who, when concluding the construction, asked God to give him wings to fly. Thus, Tatev translates approximately as, "gives me wings." Between his rich history, his spectacular views, and the unique experience of reaching him, the Tatev Monastery is a must-see destination in Armenia. Now, only one last place to complete our trip. To end our journey through Armenia, we travel to one of the most amazing places in the country, Khndzoresk, Cave Village. Located in the Syunik region, this old troglodyte village looks like an exit from another world, with hundreds of caves carved on the slopes of the mountains, forming a true stone maze. For centuries, these caves were inhabited by Armenian families who built houses, churches, and even schools within rock formations. It is believed that, in its peak, in the 19th century, more than 15,000 people lived there, leading a self-sufficient life, protected by the mountains. However, in the 1950s, residents were transferred to a nearby modern village, and Khndzoresk became a ghost town. Today, Khnddzoresk's landscape is both mysterious and charming. Walking through its trails, it is possible to explore the abandoned caves and imagine what life was like there in the past. But the highlight of the place is Khnddzoresk's suspended bridge, an impressive structure that connects the two sides of the gorge. At 160 meters long and swing slightly as it crosses it, the bridge provides a spectacular view of the valley and caves below, making the experience even more exciting. A fascinating curiosity is that some of these caves are still used to store food, or even as a refuge for local travelers and pastors. In addition, the site is home to the tomb of a legendary Armenian hero, Mekhitar Sparapet, who fought against Persian invaders in the 18th century. Between history, adventure, and stunning landscapes, Khndzoresk is the perfect closure for this unforgettable trip through this charming country. This was the end of this incredible trip, which led us to extraordinary places, each with its own history, beauty, and mystery. We start at the Geghard Monastery, a temple carved from the rock that holds centuries of faith and tradition. Then we contemplate the crystal-clear waters of Lake Sevan, the blue jewel of the country, where history and nature are found. Then we plunged into the grandeur of the Garni Temple, a pagan relic that transported us to the Greco-Roman era. Our journey continued on Tatev's impressive monastery, a suspended medieval sanctuary on a gorge, accessible by the world's largest cable car. And finally, we explore Khndzoresk, the cave village, a mystical place where history and adventure mingle in a surreal scenario. Armenia is a country of contrasts, where the past and the present intertwine in breathtaking landscapes. Each of these places is not just a tourist spot, but a living piece of Armenian identity, loaded with culture, spirituality, and resistance. If you liked this journey, be sure to enjoy the video, leave a comment telling which of these places the most impressed you, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content. Armenia is just one of the many fascinating destinations that we will still explore together. Until the next trip.